We are going to continue with the chapter 21. And I believe that we had done up to point 16. Today we start with point number 17. Does everybody agree or do I have it wrong? Silence means yes.
Your email said 21, sir.
Sorry, Paul?
Your email says 21.
No, that's chapter 21.
Yeah, chapter 21.
Now I'm talking about point number 17 in chapter 21. If you go down chapter 21, you'll see different points. So we finished up to chapter point 16. Now we're going to start number 17.
Which is grateful.
Correct. Okay. All right. So let somebody start.
We got to go probably one by one, or how are we going to go?
1 point at a time. Yeah.
One at a time.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 17 is grateful, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So do you want to read it?
Read it, Prabhuji, or what?
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So from where I should? Okay. 17. Any person who is conscious of his friends' beneficent activities of never forget his service is called grateful. Okay, now. In the Mahabharata, Krishna says, when I was away from Draupadi, she cried with the words, Hey, Govinda.
Yeah.
This call for me has put me in her debt, and that indebtedness is gradually increased in my heart. This statement of Krishna gives evidence of how one can please the Supreme Lord simply by addressing him, He Krishna, He Govinda. The Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, is also simply an address to the Lord and his energy. So to anyone who is constantly engaged in addressing the Lord and his energy, he can imagine how much the Supreme Lord is obliged. It is impossible for the Lord to ever forget such a devotee. It is clearly stated in this verse that anyone who addresses the Lord immediately attracts the attention of the Lord, who always remains obliged to him. Another instance of Krishna's feeling of obligation is stated in connection with his dealing with Jamvan. When the Lord was present at Lord Ramchandra, Jamvan, the great king of the monkeys, rendered very faithful service to him. When the Lord again appeared as Lord Krishna, he married Jamvan's daughter and paid him all the respect that is usually given to superiors. Any honest person is obliged to his friend if some service has been rendered into him. Since Krishna is the supreme honest personality, how can he forget an obligation to his servitor? But we don't see this gratefulness in today's time. Not too much, not too much, at least,
It's not working? Sorry, but just 1 second. Huh? Oh, this remote. Sorry. Yes, Prabhu, you're right. So
what it says basically, Prabhuji, like the supreme personality of Godhead is so grateful to even a little thing has been done to him, like he never forgets that one. So what we should learn from this one, like whatever we get obligation from, especially from one devotee to another devotee, we should always stay grateful to that person.
Right. So what's the Sanskrit word for gratefulness? Grateful. Anybody knows?
Kritagya.
Yeah, very good. Kritagya. So that's 2 words. Krit and Agya. What does Agya mean?
Krit means so
No.
like one who is doing. Agya matlab uski agya.
No.
Something.
What does Agya mean?
अच्छा,
Agya means one who knows. And Krit means whatever is done.
done.
So Kritagya means one who knows whatever was done to him,
Okay.
which means that I don't discard, I don't ignore any favors anybody has done for me. And hence Kritagya, hence grateful. So Krishna is Kritagya. He knows whatever anyone has done, and whatever anyone has done for him, he remembers. And a couple of examples have been given here. One is Draupadi chanted his name, Hey Govinda. But we also know that she called him many times before he came. So, what was the difference between the many times she called him and he did not come, and when she called him, then he came? What was the difference?
Because he was not fully surrendered to him. She was depending on
Right.
the other personality too, who was present in the meeting there, or in
Right.
the audiences, or whatever we want to
Right.
call.
Right. So the point then being that it's not just simply doing something, but doing something with full surrender. That's when the real effect is. I mean, he may still remember, but the real effect is when it's full surrender. Prabhupada once gave the example that even if we pick up a piece of paper from the temple room, because it's garbage, and Krishna, remember that you clean the room for me. So that's how obligated he gets. And then point is being made. Imagine if he's feeling so much obligated simply by chanting his name once, calling him once, Hey Govinda. Imagine if you're chanting with feeling the whole Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. How many times has Krishna been called in this Mahamantra? What's the number? How many times has Krishna been called in this Mahamantra?
8.
8.
Very good, Usha. Yes, 8 times.
Yeah.
Because the word Ram also refers to Krishna, the one who does Raman with Radharani or enjoys with Radharani. So just in one time chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, we have called him 8 times. So what is one whole round? 8 times 108 is 864. How's that for math? So 864 times we have called him in one round. Right?
But not attentively, Prabhuji.
But that's the point. That's the point I'm making. So therefore, imagine if we're chanting attentively, not just attentively, but also from the heart.
Yeah.
Which means you have feelings for Krishna. And imagine the effect, or imagine how obligated Krishna would feel to someone who's chanting like that. And we know from the story of Haridas Thakur. How did he give up his body? Haridas Thakur. What was happening when Haridas gave up his body? And what happened immediately after? Anybody knows? Lord Chaitanya came to his hut in Jagannath Puri and picked him up. And in his arms, Haridas Thakur left his body. And then for hours, Lord Chaitanya danced holding him in his arms. So Lord Chaitanya was dancing, holding the body of Haridas Thakur in his arms and dancing like crazy. So that's the effect of chanting the holy name with feelings, attentively. Because again, Krishna doesn't forget. Third example that's given in this paragraph, this point I should say, is of Jamban. Now it says Jamban was king of monkeys. That's not true. I don't know why it says monkeys. He was the king of bears. And but the service he did, and he expressed a desire that he wanted to fight more. And he said, the only person who will give me some competition is you, my dear Lord. He told Lord Ram. And Lord Ram said, not this time, but next time. So through the Treta Yuga, How many years in Treta Yuga?
Eight, no, 16.
No,
नहीं प्रभु जी, we usually forget
almost
the thing.
almost 1.3 million years.
1.3. Okay.
Okay, and then Dwapar Yuga, how many years? 864 years, 1,000 years. So that's total of more than 2 million years. So he's still alive, right? And he was in Satyuga when Lord Vamandev appeared. He circumambulated him. That's how old Jambuan was. And he said, I'll come back as Krishna and I'll fight with you. So Krishna came back. Krishna came and Jambuan was still there. So how did they fight? Anybody knows? What was the circumstance?
In the cave, Prabhuji, when he
In the
was
cave?
blamed like he has stolen that gem.
Simantak, yeah. Simantak money.
Money.
The fight went for 28 days, right?
Yes, correct. So they had a fight, and finally Jamwan understood that nobody can fight me like this except for the Lord. And then Lord Krishna showed him his Ram form.
Yep.
And then what did he do? He married his daughter,
Yeah.
whose name was
Jambanti.
Jambanti. Yes,
Jambanti.
correct. Huh? Yeah, correct. So, point again being, this is how he's showing his indebtedness to anyone who chants his name or serves him even a little bit. Okay, so hence the quality of gratefulness.
Prabhuji, can I ask one thing?
You can ask two things if you want.
Yeah, like if you cannot chant loudly, not loudly, even small voice. So if you japa do quietly, is it okay?
Mataji, if there is a problem, yes, it is okay. If, for example, somebody doesn't have enough strength to chant loudly, it's okay. Chant softly in your mind. That's perfectly all right. Yeah, perfectly all right.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, anybody else? All right, then let's go to number 18.
Can I read?
Please, of course.
Determined. Any person who observes regulative principles and fulfills his promise by practical activity is called determined. As far as the Lord's determination is concerned, there is an example in his dealings in the Harivamsa. This is in connection with Lord Krishna's fighting the king of heaven, Indra, who was forcibly deprived of the Parijat flower. Parijata is a kind of a lotus flower grown on the heavenly planets. Once Satyabhama, one of Krishna's queen, wanted the lotus flower and Krishna promised to deliver it. But Indra refused to part with the Parijat flower. Therefore, there was a great fight with Krishna and the Pandavas on one side and all of the demigods on the other. Ultimately, Krishna defeated all of them and took the Parijat flower, which he presented to his queen. So, in regard to that occurrence, Krishna told Narada Muni, "My dear great sage of the demigods, now you can declare to the devotees in general and to the non-devotees in particular that in this matter of taking the Parijat flower, all the demigods, the Gandharvas, the Nagas, the demon Rakshasas, the Yakshas, the Panagas tried to defeat me, but none could make me break my promise to my queen." There is another promise by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita to the effect that his devotee will never be vanquished. So, a sincere devotee who is always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord should know for certain that Krishna will never break his promise. He will always protect his devotees in every circumstance. Krishna showed how he fulfills his promise by delivering the Parijat flower to Satyabhama, by saving Draupadi from being insulted, and by freeing Arjuna from the attacks of all enemies. The promise of Krishna that his devotees are never vanquished had also previously been admitted by Indra when he was defeated in the Govardhan Leela. When Krishna stopped the villagers of Vrindavan from worshipping Indra, Indra became angry and therefore inundated Vrindavan with continuous rain. Krishna, however, protected all of the citizens and animals of Vrindavan by lifting Govardhan Hill, which served as an umbrella. After the incident was over, Indra surrendered to Krishna with many prayers in which he admitted, by your lifting Govardhan Hill and protecting the citizens of Vrindavan, you have kept your promise that your devotees are never to be vanquished.
Yeah, thank you. So, what's the Hindi word for determined?
Dhrida Nishcha. Nishcha.
Nishcha, yes, correct. So, Krishna is determined to keep his promise, no matter what. So, is everyone familiar with the pastime being talked about for Parijata flower?
Like,
Prabhuji.
okay, go ahead.
Sorry,
Satyabhama.
sorry, what's that?
Okay, he, like the Satyabhama, his queen, asked him to take the Parijat for her. So he went, like the Krishna went to the, like the, he, because the Parijat was in the Sargalo, in the kingdom of the Indra, so he had to fight with the king Indra, but they both of they fight long, and then ultimately Krishna won the Parijat Pushpa for the queen.
Right. Okay, thank you. So basically, what happened was that Krishna presented one Parijat flower to Rukmini. Satyabhama said, wait a minute, what about me? And he said, well, okay, fine, I'll get it. He said, no, now I want the whole plant. He said, okay, the only place is there is the heavenly kingdom in the Lok. So, but at the same time, he found out about Narakasur, and so he had to fight with him. So he took Satyabhama with him. That big fight, when they finished, then Lord Krishna went to, oh, sorry, Indra had invited Krishna to come and fight with this demon. So on the request of Indra, and this demon had also stolen the earrings of Indra's wife, Sachimata, and
Of his mother, Prabhu.
huh?
His mother, Indra's mother.
Oh, so I'm sorry, his mother. You're right. And I'm trying to remember. There's a couple of other things he had taken away, and so Indra had requested that please kill him and return our things. And so on behalf of Indra, Lord Krishna had fought with this demon, and then he went to Indralok and returned the earrings and whatever else was there, and then he said, my wife wants this Parijat plant, so please allow me to take it. And we just finished talking about gratefulness, gratitude. Now we're talking about lack of gratitude, ungrateful. So Krishna had done all this fight, so much labor, so much killing on Indra's behalf, and Indra was not going to give him Parijat flower. To the point where there was a fight, there was a war, basically. Demigods and Indra on one side, and as they say, Pandavas and Krishna on one side. And of course, who can defeat Krishna? So he won and brought the Parijat flower. But the point is, on the one hand, Krishna is there being so grateful, and Indra is there being so ungrateful for whatever favor a person has done for him. Another determination is about Krishna saying, Kante pratijani name bhakta. What's the word? Kante pratijani. Pranasthiti. Yes, thank you. 931. And he's saying, Arjun, you declare boldly that my devotee is never vanquished. And there are so many examples where Krishna has gone out of his way to save or protect his devotees. The example here is given of Krishna protecting the residents of Vrindavan from the rain caused by Indra. And they were the rains of apocalypse. So not simple rains, but he protected them. What's another example? Famous example of Lord Krishna in another incarnation protecting his devotee.
Lord Narsingdev.
Lord Nrsimhadev, exactly. So he appears in the form of half man, half lion. In the process of protecting the word of Lord Brahma also, another devotee of his. All the promises Brahma had made, so he protected and respected that also. Right? So that's another example of where he is determined to protect his devotees. We talked about Draupadi already. And yeah, that's it. Any questions or comments on that?
And he broke the promise in Kurukshetra war also.
What was the promise?
Arjuna,
What was the promise?
that he will never take the arms in hand. Just
But he broke that one.
yeah, he broke the promise and protected Arjuna.
Okay. All right.
Prabhuji, can I ask a question, please?
Only if you want.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Prabhuji, like throughout whichever Leela we read, we have seen like Indra has gone, he's fallen down in so many ways. Then why he's always, he's still been kept on his position. He's still called, the king of heaven. हमेशा ऐसे सारे गलत कामों में फंस जाते हैं, but still he is the king of heaven.
You mean why is he not been fired?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm not sure why he has not been fired, but I know he's been embarrassed many, many times by many people and cursed by many people. So Agastya Muni cursed him. Actually, you don't even want to know what the original curse was. And at his request, it got modified that it will be eyes all over his body, 1,000 eyes. He got embarrassed by Lord Krishna in the Govardhan Leela. He got embarrassed by the son of King Prithu when he stole the horse. So many examples. But he's so shameless, it just doesn't bother him. He's just hanging on to his job. Every time somebody does 99 fire sacrifices, he gets worried. Anytime somebody does, hard austerity, he gets worried. So he's always worried. But you're right, he's not been fired, and I don't know why. Maybe some
because he is most merciful. That's why he doesn't fire.
Okay, all right. So that's good explanation. And as Prabhuji is saying, maybe just keeps getting second, third, and fourth chances. But yeah, not a good person in that sense. So I'm sorry, I don't know the real answer to your question.
Same
That's-
question in my mind also.
I have an answer. But this is always, he's done such, hideous task throughout whenever we read, he's like sleeping with somebody's wife, stealing something from them.
But he's been thrown out of his.
उसको punishment नहीं मिल रहा है.
The punishment mila. Like he got thrown out of his kingdom by King Bali Maharaj, by Hiranyakashipu. He actually used to go to Hiranyakashipu's kitchen to cut vegetables because that's what Hiranyakashipu wanted him to do. So I mean, all sorts of embarrassment, all sorts of really, really shown how bad he is. But being so shameless, it doesn't matter to him. I don't know why he wasn't fired. I don't know. Or why did he not commit suicide? I mean, so much embarrassment, just enough, man. I can't take this anymore. But he's hanging on.
Kshatriya laws don't, apply on him.
Yeah. That's right.
But
Prabhuji,
Indra
also got to be pig.
Hmm?
Sorry, Prabhu. He also got to be pig.
I'm sorry, 1% please only.
Okay, Prabhuji, I was saying he also became a pig one time.
Yeah, he did. That's right.
Yeah.
He became a pig, he became a Shudra Putra. So much embarrassment for him. But he got cursed by Agastya Muni for insulting him by not taking the kingdom, the garland. And then he lost his luster, he lost his kingdom again. So many times.
Yeah, Prabhuji, just for a thought, Krishna wants to say these are part of the Leelas. I don't know whether we can call Krishna's pastime as the Leela, but he participates into that. The projection could be that even if you are a heaven or, the people desire, you are not safe, right? You are not safe. So, and many places they mention from ant to, elephant or man, or from Brahmaloka to the Patal Loka, nothing is safe. So in that context, if you look at, even though you are as powerful of Indra with the Vajrastra and all that, you are not safe. You go through all those in this material world, right?
Yeah.
So that could be one of the. Prabhuji, I have another question here. It's a mention that Pandavas also fought, and you also refer to that. So, but this war, Indra and Lord Krishna, it happened in the Swargaloka, right? Swargaloka, the Parijat flower, like when Krishna
Sorry?
goes to, yeah.
Which war?
No, so fight between Krishna and Indra, right?
Correct.
To
Yes.
Parijat.
Yes.
So again, Pandavas are mentioned there.
Yeah.
And a lot of others are also there. Demons, demon Rakshasas and Yakshas.
So what's the question?
Question is, how come that fight was then Rakshasa and Yakshas? Those are the people not in heaven, right?
No, well, they can travel, no?
Okay, they can.
They can travel.
Mm.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that a lot of what's mentioned here is not mentioned in Bhagavatam.
Yes.
Like Bhagavatam implies, at least the story goes, that it's only Krishna against Indra, nobody else.
Nobody else.
But so I'm not sure. I'm not going to question Rupa Goswami.
Sure.
But it's not consistent with what Bhagavatam said.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else? Okay, let's read the next one. 19.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
Expert judge of time and circumstances. Krishna was very expert in dealing with people according to circumstances, country, time, and paraphilia. How he could take advantage of a particular time, circumstance, and a person is expressed by him while talking to Uddhav about his ras, dance, and the gopis. He says the most opportune time is the full moon night in autumn, like tonight. The best place where the universe is Vrindavan, and the most beautiful girls are the gopis. So, my dear friend Uddhav, I think I should now take advantage of all these circumstances and engage myself in the Ras dance.
Very well. So yeah, certainly he knows how to act according to circumstances, time and place. And so this one example being given here. He says the most beautiful girls are the gopis. So you probably know already, but I wanted to mention it is said that if you take the most beautiful woman on earth, the apsaras, the heavenly damsels, are a million times more beautiful. And you take the most beautiful apsara, and the queens of Dwarka, a million times more beautiful than them. You take the most beautiful queen, and the gopis are a million times more beautiful than them. And then Radha Rani is a million times more beautiful than all the gopis. So, we can't even imagine. We can't even imagine, how beautiful they are, and they have the privilege of dancing with Lord Krishna. Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay, then let's go to the next one.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Please.
Seer by the authority of the scriptures. A person who acts exactly according to the tenets of scripture is called Shastra Sakus. Sastra Sakus means one who sees through the eyes of the authorized scriptures. Actually, any man of knowledge and experience should see everything through these books. For example, with our naked eye, we perceive the sun globe simply as some glaring substance. But when we see through authorized books of science and other literature, we can understand how much greater the sun globe is than this earth and how powerful it is. So, seeing things through the naked eye is not actually seeing things through the authorized books or authorized teachers is correct way to see. So, although Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and can see all that is past, present, and future, to reach the people in general, he used to always refer to the scriptures. For example, in Bhagavad Gita, although Krishna was speaking as a supreme authority, he still mentioned and quoted Vedanta Sutra as authority. There is a statement in Srimad Bhagavatam wherein a person jokingly says that Krishna, the enemy of Kamsa, is known as the seer through the Shastra. In order to establish his authority, however, he is now engaged in seeing the gopis, whereby the gopis are becoming maddened. Haribol.
Haribol, thank you. Okay, so I'm sure most of you have read Ishopanishad, and that it talks about 3 types of evidence. Anybody remembers the 3 types of evidence?
Shruti, Shrimiti, and Shabda. Shabda?
Okay,
Or-
one out of 3 is correct.
So which one is correct?
No, you have to guess that.
Is it
Pratyaksha.
Yeah,
Sorry?
Pratisha, Hanuman,
Yes.
Yeah.
And
and
Shabda.
Shabda.
Shabda Brahma. So, Pratyaksha means something that you have witnessed through your senses. You've either seen it, you've heard it, you've touched it, you smelled it, or you tasted it. Right? So, that is Pratyaksha. Now, Pratyaksha has been proven to be not very reliable, mainly because our senses are imperfect. Right? So many times we hear in the news that something happened and there were 10 witnesses to that, eyewitnesses, and they all had a different version. So same time, same place, same event, but 10 different people see it differently, which means not reliable. Similarly, when we hear something, you tell 10 people something, same thing, they'll all hear something different. Because we have our filters through which we see, hear, touch, and all. So Pratyaksha is not a reliable evidence. The next is Anuman. Anuman basically means deduction, which means coming through some logical conclusion that this must be it. And that is also not very reliable, because to do that for something that's in the past or something that's too far, something that will happen in the future, you can't do that. So therefore, Shabda Brahma, which means the Vedic knowledge, is considered the evidence. Why? Because it's coming from Lord Krishna, who has no imperfections, whose senses are perfect. Angani sakalendri patu. Sakalendri, how does it go? Angani sakalendri pratyavat. हाँ
एक बार दोबारा
हाँ
बोलो।
अंगानी सकलेंद्री वृत्तिमांति
Yeah.
और शांति पांति कल्याणति चिरम जगांति.
Kranti.
Right? So his senses are perfect and interchangeable. So whatever he has said is perfect, and therefore the Vedas, the scriptures, whatever knowledge they give us is the perfect knowledge and is the correct knowledge. So we go based on that. So here, and the person who does that It's called Shastra Chakshu, is seeing through the eyes of the scripture. So it's mentioned here that Krishna is a Shastra Chakshu because even though he's himself Supreme Personality of Godhead and the scriptures have come from him, still he quotes the scriptures when he tries to make a point. Hence Shastra Chakshu. Okay? Any questions or comments?
Prabhu, so can we put Anuman, I mean, like, not Anuman, can we put science into the Anuman category here?
You could put it in both Pratyaksha and Anuman. Because experiments are Pratyaksha. Like empirical experiments, they're Pratyaksha. Theories are Anuman.
Gotcha.
Okay? And sometimes they agree with the scriptures and then they're right. Otherwise, scientific theories are always changing. For example, up until not too long ago, it was recommended that we drink 8 glasses of water every day. Now they're saying not necessary, it's okay. You know, so many examples like that, where whatever was considered good or right, a few years later disproven. But whatever is in the scriptures was true million years ago will be true million years from now. And that's the difference. But the point in this case is that even Lord Krishna, considering who he is, still refers to the quotes from the scriptures to make his point. That is quality. He doesn't say, I'm the Lord, so therefore just believe me. He's not saying that. Here's the proof. Okay. 21.
I can read, Prabhu.
Please do.
Yeah. 21. Pure. There are 2 kinds of supreme purity. When one type is possessed, one is able to deliver a sinful person. When the other type is possessed, one does not do anything which is impure. A person who possesses either of these qualities is called supremely pure. Krishna is both. He can deliver all sinful conditioned souls, and at the same time, he never does anything by which he can be contaminated. In this connection, Vidur, while trying to detach his elder brother Dhritarashtra from his familial attachments, said, "My dear brother, you just fix your mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, who is worshipped with beautiful erudite verses by great sages and saintly persons. Krishna is a supreme deliverer among all deliverers. Undoubtedly, there are great demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, but their positions as deliverers depend always upon the mercy of Krishna. Therefore, Vidur advised his elder brother Dhritarashtra to concentrate his mind and worship only Krishna. If one simply chants the holy name of Krishna, this holy name will rise within one's heart like the powerful sun and will immediately dissipate all the darkness of ignorance. Vidura advised Dhritarashtra to therefore think always of Krishna so that the volumes of contaminations due to sinful activities would be washed off immediately. In Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna is addressed by Arjuna as Param Brahma, Param Dhama Pavitram, the supreme pure. There are many other instances exhibiting Krishna's supreme purity.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. So, 2 types of pure being described here. One who's delivering even a sinful person, and one who's never doing anything impure. In the case of Krishna, what happens when Krishna kills a demon, a sinful person? Anyone?
He gets delivered.
They get liberation.
They liberation, they are delivered. So even the demons are delivered when Krishna kills them. You know, and whatever Krishna does is pure. So for example, he steals, but is that contaminated activity? Is that impure activity? Krishna dances with the gopis, is that impure activity? It would be if we did that. Right? So that is Krishna's quality. He's so pure that anything he touches or does becomes pure. And like him, his holy name is the same way. Puno Shuddho Nityo Abhinitvan Nam Namina. Puno Shuddho Nityo Mukto Abhinitvan Nam Namina. Padma Puran says, the holy name is non-different from the Lord himself, and it's complete, it's eternal, it's liberating or purifying, just like the Lord. Okay? Any questions or comments? Okay, 22. Here I come.
I can read, Prabhu.
Please do.
22. Self-control. A person who can control his senses fully is called Vashi or self-control. In this connection, it is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, all the 16,000 wives of Krishna were so exquisitely beautiful that their smiling and shyness were able to captivate the minds of great demigods like Lord Shiva. But still, they could not even agitate the mind of Krishna in spite of their attractive feminine behavior. Every one of the thousands of wives of Krishna was thinking that Krishna was captivated by her feminine beauty. But this was not the case. Krishna is therefore the supreme controller of the senses, and this is admitted in Bhagavad Gita, where he is addressed as Rishikesha, the master of the senses.
Yeah. So, Krishna is definitely self-controlled. You know the famous story about the gopis wanted to cross the river Yamuna. And Krishna saying, and there was no boats available, so they went to Krishna, and Krishna said, go at the bank of the river and say, if Krishna is brahmachari, then let us go. And the gopis laughed. But when they tried the mantra, Krishna is brahmachari, then the river parted and let them go, proving the point that he really is self-control. And this is why, actually, at least in the case of Krishna, we never see him frowning. Has anybody seen a picture of Krishna frowning? Anywhere? Or angry or foaming at the mouth? No. No, he is not self-control. Even when he's angry, he doesn't look angry. Like which happened when Krishna tried to save Arjun by picking up the wheel, and he was going to kill Bhishma Pitama. Even then, he wasn't, like I said, foaming at the mouth. Anyways, the point is that being Rishikesh, the master of the senses, got all his senses under control. That's why it's known as Vashi. Vashi means one who's in control. Yeah, control of himself, self-control. Okay. We know the story of Lord Shiva also. Mother Parvati would be sitting on his lap, but he's not feeling agitated because of being self-controlled. Okay. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, 23.
Prabhu, can I ask a question, please?
You can only, yeah.
We were talking about that, Yamuna ji gave gopis the way because when they said that Krishna is a brahmachari. But then later when we read the Leelas, when Krishna became Dwarkadish, we read the stories of Pradyumna and this and that. How are those sons were born?
Oh, no, but self-control doesn't mean that there's no union. That's one thing. Second thing is, in the case of Krishna, it would also be what's known as, what's the term? Immaculate conception, which does not require union. So, because both Pradyumna and Ruda are also supreme personalities of Godhead. So they don't need to go through the process. Okay? But a Grihastha can be self-controlled and still have kids. Right?
Okay, makes sense.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I ask a question, please?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So Krishna was not a brahmachari, was he?
That's what the gopis said.
Yeah.
But
he...
what is a brahmachari? Can you get the video on, please, if you don't mind?
I can, Prabhu, right now.
Okay. So, what is the definition of brahmachari?
A brahmachari is a person first the period, between 1 and 25, and the when a person is studying, he doesn't interact with women.
Well, it could be brahmachari at 50 also. Like, it doesn't have to stop at 25. That's just a normal that if you want to go through all the 4 stages, then you can stop at 25. So, I mean, age has nothing to do with it. But what is the definition of brahmachari? You're saying anybody who does not associate with women? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
A person who practice celibacy both physically and with mind.
That's the main thing. That's the main thing. And so it has to be both. So, yeah, Krishna is totally celibate. He's in his mind, he's not thinking anything, and his actions, he's not doing anything. Remember that these are all transcendental activities. We cannot compare them with material activities. So when Krishna is with the gopis, whatever we think in terms of material events is not happening. Okay.
Anything done by Krishna is transcendental. That's it.
There you go. So we cannot be comparing with material activities. Okay. All right. Next one. 44. Huh?
I said thank you.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, you're welcome.
I can read 24 for the
Please go ahead.
Okay. 4b. A person who tolerates
No,
all
23.
No,
20.
24 is right. 24 is right.
24, yeah. A person who tolerates all kinds of troubles, even though such troubles appear to be unbearable, is called forbearing. When Krishna was residing at the place of his spiritual master, he did not mind taking all trouble in rendering service to his guru, although his body was very soft and delicate. It is the duty of the disciple to execute all services unto the spiritual master, despite all kinds of difficulties. The disciple,
Please, everyone mute yourself.
the
Go ahead.
disciple living at the residence of the spiritual master has to go begging from the door to door and bring everything back to the spiritual master. When prasad is being served, the spiritual master is supposed to call each and every disciple to come eat. If by chance the spiritual master forgets to call a disciple to partake of the prasad, it is enjoined in the scripture that the student should fast on that day rather than accept food on his own initiative. There are many such strictures sometimes. Also, Krishna went to the forest to collect dry wood for fuel.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, so some examples are given here where Krishna had to do these activities like begging from door to door, waiting to be called for prasadam, going to the forest to collect dry wood. All those things, I mean, they're not easy activities. Wake up early in the morning, and serve the spiritual master, serve the wife of the spiritual master, so they're not easy things to do, and Gurukul life in those days were very austere, not easy at all. And so Krishna was doing all that. And what was the final thing that he did for his Guru? Anybody knows? Or some one last,
Of Sandi Panimani.
No.
Right?
So one last thing that he did. Just give me 1 second, please. Excuse me.
We haven't read the point number 23, steadfast.
That's true. We didn't read that.
Yeah, we didn't read it.
Okay, can we finish 24? We'll go back to 23 then.
After 24, we can do it.
So what was the last service that he did for his Guru Sandipan Muni?
He brought his son back.
His sons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He had to go to Yamaraj to get it back. And so I mean, again, he has to first look for him. And then when he found out that he's there, then he went there to get the son back. So my point is that he did a lot of service for his Guru, a lot of difficulties he faced. but he did it. He didn't mind taking any trouble for his guru. Okay, 23. Oh, this is a small one, that's why it got missed. Okay, 23, could somebody do that? No volunteers, okay.
I can read it, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranam.
Jai, please go ahead.
23. Steadfast. A person who continues to work until his desired goal is achieved is called steadfast. There is a fight between Krishna and King Jamban, and Krishna was to take the valuable Shamantaka jewel from the king. The king tried to hide himself in the forest, but Krishna would not become discouraged. Krishna finally got the jewel by seeking out the king with great steadfastness.
Thank you. So I have to make a confession. This is not how it's described in Srimad Bhagavatam. I was not aware that at some point in time, Jamban tried to hide himself from Krishna. So anyway, I mean, it must be true. And it's been used as an example how steadfast Krishna was in trying to get the Samantak jewel back. Okay. All right. Unless there's a question, we can go to number 25.
Prabhuji, how old is Nectar of Devotion?
Well, 500 years or just under 500 years.
So can we apply the same principle that we apply to Ramcharitramanas? Because it's not written in the same era, it's written afterwards, so few things are different, but overall the bhav is same.
Can you explain a little bit more? By example, maybe?
Like Valmiki Ramayana, and there's a difference between Valmiki Ramayana and there is a difference between Ramcharitramanas. There are few incidents that are here and there. Can we apply the same principle on Nectar?
Could be. It's possible.
Yeah.
Possible.
Maybe that's why.
Huh?
I said maybe that's why it's little
Could
bit
be.
here.
It could be that. Also, what happens is sometimes you hear or read different version of the same event by different acharyas. And it's explained by saying that each one of them is describing a different kalpa. So, as you know, in every kalpa, Krishna comes once. And so the point is that the pastimes are not 100% identical in each kalpa. So that's how the differences are explained. So it could be that he's describing a different kalpa. Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, 25 then.
I can read.
Sure, go ahead. If you've not read it. Have you read it before already today?
Yes.
Okay, is there anybody who has not read and wants to read?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Okay, go ahead.
Forgiving. A person who can tolerate all kinds of offenses from the opposite party is known to be forgiving. Lord Krishna forgiving qualities is described in the Shishupala's Vadh in connection with his forbidding the killing of Shishupala. King Shishupala was the monarch of the Chedi kingdom, and although he happened to be the cousin of Krishna, he was always envious of him. Whenever they would meet, Shishupala would try to insult Krishna and call him ill names as much as possible. In the arena of the Rajsuya sacrifice of Maharaj Yudhishthira, when Shishupala began to call Lord Krishna ill names, Krishna did not care and remained silent. Some of the people at the arena were prepared to kill Shishupala, but Krishna restricted them and he was so forgiving. It is said that when they were thundering sounds of the cloud, the mighty lion immediately replies with his thundering roar, but the lion does not care when all the foolish jackals begin to make their less important sounds.
Love it.
I think we all should remember this. Sri Yamunacharya praised Krishna power of forgiveness with the with the following statement: "My dear Lord Ramachandra, you were so merciful to have excused the crows clawing on the nipples of Janaki simply because of the bowing down before you. Once Indra, the king of heaven, as assumed the form of a crow and attacked again. He did something and attacked Sita, Janki, Lord Ramchandra wife, by striking her on the breast. This was certainly an insult to the universal mother Sita, and Lord Ramchandra was immediately prepared to kill the crow. But because later on the crow bowed down before the Lord excused his offenses. Sri Yamanacharya further says in his prayer that the forgiving power of the Lord Krishna is even greater than that of Lord Ramachandra, because Shishupala was always in the habit of insulting Krishna, not only in one lifetime but continuously through 3 lives. Still, Krishna was so kind that he gave Shishupala a salvation of merging into his existence. From this, we can understand that the goal of the monist to merge into the effulgence of the Supreme is not a very difficult problem. Person like Sushupala, who are constantly inimical to Krishna, can also get this liberation.
Hari Om. So this is the quality of forgiveness that's being talked about, and the reference to Shishupal. Who was Shishupal?
Krishna.
Sorry?
Krishna's cousin,
Krishna's cousin. How?
Bua's
Bua, yes.
Masi.
Masi. Okay, Bua or Masi?
Bua.
Mataji thinks Masi.
Masi.
Mataji is very sure. It's Masi. See, there you go. I can tell from her tone. She's very sure. Yeah, it was Masi. And so, you know the story of Shishupal, right? How was he born? There was something unique about him when he was born.
He was deformed when he was born.
In what way?
Physically, like, he was not a normal human being.
Be more specific.
You have 3 eyes, Prabhuji.
Okay, 3 eyes. Okay. Anybody else?
Extra hands and extra legs. Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? So we got the eyes, we got extra arms, we got extra legs. What else? Okay. What I have read, if I remember correctly from Srimad Bhagavatam, that he had 2 extra arms. So he's born with 4 arms as opposed to 2 arms. That's how I recall, and you can confirm that, but that's how I recall. Anyway, and there was a voice from the sky that told his mother that don't worry, his other 2 arms will fall down when he meets somebody who will eventually kill him.
Oh.
So Krishna one time went to visit him, and as soon as he saw Shishupal, his 2 arms fell out. So his mother got very concerned that Krishna will kill him. So she said to him, please, can you forgive him? And whatever offenses he does, can you forgive him? He said, I will forgive up to 100 offenses. And so in this case, in Ratsya Yajna, he was insulting Krishna left and right. And Krishna sat quietly until 100. And 101st, he cut his head with his Sudarshan Chakra. And who was Shishupal, his previous birth?
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Sorry?
Yeah.
That was a trick question, and you all failed. In his previous, he was Hiranyaksha.
Okay.
So that's why I say it's a trick question. Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, remember them?
Yep.
And then before that, they were Jaya and Vijay.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it's a trick question.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so that's the pastime being talked about here. But Krishna kept forgiving him until, he crossed the line. And
100.
then the story about the crow was again a little different from Ramcharitmanas, where it says the son of Indra, Jayant, came as a crow. And here saying Indra. So again, different kalpa perhaps, two different versions of the same story. And here also mentioned the Yamunacharya says that the forgiving power of Lord Krishna is even greater than that of Lord Ramchandra. Because he kept tolerating Shishupal even though he was constantly insulting Krishna. And not only that, not just one lifetime, but continually through the 3 lives. So Hiranyaksha, Shishupal, and then who was it?
Kumbhakara?
Well, okay, we don't know. Kumbhakaran or Ravan, one of them. One of them, right? But the point is that, not just once, not just twice, but 3 times. Okay? And then previously we talked about delivering them, and Krishna delivered even this sinful man. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay, 26.
Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Okay, please do. If you have not read it before, yes.
No, I have it. I have read
So,
already.
okay, so let's just give anybody who's not read wants to read.
Okay, me.
Thank you, Mataji. Go ahead.
Grave. A person who does not express his mind to everyone, or whose mental activity and plan of action are very difficult to understand, is called grave. After Lord Sri Krishna had been offended by Brahma, Brahma prayed to him to be excused. But in spite of his offering nice prayers to Krishna, Brahma could not understand whether Krishna was satisfied or still dissatisfied. In other words, Krishna was so grave that he did not take the prayers of Brahma very seriously. Another instance of Krishna's gravity is found in connection with his love affairs with Radharani. Krishna was always very silent about his love affairs with Radharani, so much so that Baldev, Krishna's elder brother and constant companion, could not understand the transformations of Krishna on account of his gravity.
Yeah. Thank you. So, there are very few real grave people in the world, but Krishna was. He did not express his mind to anyone, to everyone, I should say, not anyone. And whatever he does is very difficult to understand. So difficult that Bhishma Pitama told Yudhishthir, don't even try to understand the plan of Krishna. Because many have tried and gone crazy in the process, but they cannot understand. So he's grave, we don't know what he's planning, we don't know what he's thinking, and he does not react a lot of times. The example is given Brahma. Now, Brahma had a very interesting problem. How many heads does he have?
4.
4. And one in each direction. So when you offer obeisances, what's supposed to be the case? 4 head touching the ground, right? That's how you offer obeisances. Correct? Now, how does Brahma do it? Whichever head he puts down first, the opposing head is up, looking up. Can you visualize that? Krishna is offering, Brahma is offering obeisances, touches one head, forehead to the ground, but the one behind it is facing up. So Bhagavatam describes that he actually had to align his 4 heads, so all 4 would touch the ground before he started his prayers to Lord Krishna. Okay, anyway, so the point is that Krishna did not react to Brahma's prayers, and Brahma was totally confused whether Krishna is satisfied, not satisfied, should he say more or what? He just went away. And that's why we know that Brahma performed very serious austerities in what was the place where he performed his austerities after this Leela? That's the place where Bhaktivinoda Thakur later lived. In Navadvip, Godrumdip, I should say. And anyway, that's where Lord Chaitanya, Krishna in the form of Lord Chaitanya, appeared in front of Brahma and told him about his pastimes, Lord Chaitanya, and told him that you will appear as
Haridas Thakur.
Haridas Thakur. Correct. So all that happened because Brahma just couldn't understand what happened here. And am I going away? Am I satisfied or not satisfied? Is he okay with me? Is he still upset? Is he cool or not? He had no idea. But Krishna did not give a reaction. Okay. Any questions or comments? All right, let's go to the next one. 27.
I'll read, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
A person who is fully satisfied in himself without any hankering and who is not agitated even in the presence of serious cause for distress is called self-satisfied. An example of Krishna's satisfaction was exhibited when he, Arjuna and Bhima went to challenge Jarasandha, the formidable king of Magadha, and Krishna gave all credit to Bhima for the killing of Jarasandha. From this we can understand that Krishna never cares at all for fame, although no one can be more famous. An example of his not being disturbed was shown when Shishupala began to call him ill names. All the kings and brahmanas assembled at the sacrificial arena of Maharaja Yudhishthira became perturbed and immediately wanted to satisfy Krishna by offering nice prayers. But all these kings and brahmanas could not discover any disturbance in Krishna's person.
Sorry, there's kids in the house, very too much noise. Okay. So Krishna is fully satisfied in himself, which means there's no hankering, there's no lamentation, no agitation in the mind, regardless of the situation. Self-satisfied. And it's talking about, how he gave credit to Bhima in that fight between Bhima and Jarasandha. I hope everybody knows the story. And so no need to do this. And same thing when Shishupal was insulting him. He was just tolerating it, just didn't get disturbed at all. Others were ready to kill Shishupal, but Krishna was sitting there very quiet, smiling. The smile never left his face. Okay. Any questions or comments on that? Okay. 28.
I can read, Prabhu.
Please go ahead.
Possessing equilibrium. A person who is unaffected by attachment and envy is said to possess equilibrium. An example of Krishna's equilibrium is given in the 10th canto, 16th chapter, verse 33 of Srimad Bhagavatam in connection with his chastising Kaliya, the 100-headed serpent. While Kaliya was being severely punished, all of his wives appeared.
I'm sorry, Bhataji, just 1 second. There's some background noises coming from somebody. Can everybody else mute yourself, please?
My side, Prabhu, sorry.
No, okay, go ahead.
While Kaliya was being severely punished, all of his wives appeared before the Lord and prayed as follows. Dear Lord, you have descended to punish all kinds of demoniac living creatures. Our husband, this Kaliya, is a greatly sinful creature, and so your punishment of him is quite appropriate. We know that your punishment of your enemies and your dealings with your sons are both the same. We know that it is in thinking of the future welfare of this condemned creature that you have chastised him. In another prayer, it is said, My dear Lord Krishna, best of all the Kuru dynasty, you are so impartial that if even your enemy is qualified, you will reward him. And if one of your sons is a culprit, you will chastise him. This is your business, because you are the author of verses. You have no partiality. If anyone finds any partiality in your characteristics, he is surely mistaken.
Yeah. So, what does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9? Samoham sarvabhuteshu. Name desho asti na priya. Right? He says, I'm equal to everyone. I'm not particularly I'm not particularly envious of anybody. I'm not particularly, nobody's particularly dear to me. So he's the, what that means is that he's not affected by any attachment to anybody. There's a son or an enemy, they're both punished appropriately when they don't behave. And we know how Lord Krishna wrapped up his pastime by annihilating his own dynasty. Thousands and hundreds of thousands of people were in his family. They were all killed at Prabhashit by the will of Krishna. So he's not attached at all. Always equipoised, which means he's always in equilibrium. Not doing anything out of anger, not doing anything out of any other feeling. The only time he's not in equilibrium, if you can use that word, is when he's being asked to something by somebody who loves him very much. So all the pastimes in Vrindavan, come in that category because he's doing it out of the devotee's love for him. Other than that, it's totally in equilibrium. Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay. Number 29. Anybody who's not read yet today? Okay, then I guess someone can repeat it.
I will do, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
29. Magnanimous. Any person who is very charitable, disposed is called magnanimous. When Krishna was reigning over Dwarka, he was so magnanimous and charitably disposed that there was no limit to his charity. In fact, so great was his charity in Dwarka that even the spiritual kingdom, with all of its opulence of Chintamani, touchstone, desired trees, and Surabhi cows, was surpassed. In the spiritual kingdom of the Lord, Krishna named the Goloka Vrindavan. There are Surabhi cows which give unlimited quantity of milk. There are desired trees from which anyone can take all kinds of fruits as much as he may desire. The land is made of touchstone, which often touch to iron and will transform it into a gold. In other words, although in the spiritual kingdom, the abode of Krishna, everything is wonderfully opulent. Still, when Krishna was in Dwarka, his charity exceeded the opulence of Goloka Vrindavan. Wherever Krishna is present, the limitless opulence of Goloka Vrindavan is automatically present. It is also stated that while Lord Krishna was living in Dwarka, he expanded himself into 16,108 forms, and each and every expansion resided in a place with a queen. Not only was Krishna happily living with his queens in those palaces, but he was giving in charity from each palace an aggregate number of 13,056 cows completely decorated with a nice clothing and ornaments. From each of Krishna's 16,108 palaces, these cows were being given in charity by Krishna every day. No one can estimate the value of such a large number of cows given in charity, but that was the system of Krishna's daily affairs while he was reigning in Dwarka. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So that's like almost 2 million cows every day. Clearly, and then all nicely decorated with ornaments and clothing and all that. So not just cows, but all those things that go with that. Unbelievable. We also know that Lord Ram, when he started the fire sacrifice for 11,000, 13,000 years, he gave all his wealth. What's that? Somebody's system is making noise. Anyway, he gave away all his wealth, including the ornaments of Mother Sita to the Brahmins. Everything, the whole kingdom he gave away. And in those days, system was that the Brahmins were not greedy either. So they accepted it, and then they say, we don't have need for this at this time, so can you please keep it with yourself until we need it. They returned everything. So the Brahmins were not greedy, and the kings were very magnanimous or generous with the gift. So same idea. Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, number 30.
I can read.
I can.
Go ahead, please.
Religious. A person who personally practices the tenets of religion as they are enjoined in the Shastras and who also teaches others the same principles is called religious. Simply professing a kind of faith is not a sign of religiousness. One must act according to religious principles, and by his personal example, he should teach others. Such a person is to be understood as religious. When Krishna was present on this planet, there was no irreligion. In this connection, Narada Muni once addressed Krishna jokingly, "My dear Lord of the coward boys, your bulls are the representation of religion. While eating grass from the pasturing ground and moving on their four legs, have certainly eaten up all the grass of irreligion." In other words, by the grace of Krishna, religious principles were so well cared for that hardly any irreligious activities could be found. It is said that because Krishna was constantly performing various types of sacrifices and was inviting the demigods from the higher planetary system, the demigods were almost always absent from their consorts. Therefore, the wives of the demigods, regretting the absence of their husbands, began to pray for the appearance of the Lord Buddha, Krishna's ninth incarnation, who appears in the age of Kali. In other words, instead of being pleased that the Lord Krishna had come, they began to pray for Lord Buddha, whose ninth incarnation, because Lord Buddha stopped the ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices recommended in the Vedas in order to discourage animal killing. The demigod's wife thought that if the Lord Buddha appeared, all kinds of sacrifices would be stopped and thus their husband would not be invited to such ceremonies and would not be separated from them. Sometimes it is inquired, why don't the demigods from higher planetary systems come to this earth planet nowadays? This plain answer is that since Lord Buddha appeared and began to deprecate the performance of sacrifice in order to stop animal killing on this planet, the process of offering sacrifices has been stopped, and the demigods do not care to come here anymore.
Yeah, that's the influence of Kali. So the point being made here right off the bat is that it's not the person who's professing the tenets of a religion or faith, but it's the one who's actually practicing the tenets and teaching at the same time. So acharyas, they are religious. So practicing and teaching the tenets or the principles of religion, that person is religious. Just professing some kind of faith is not religious. And then the point is being made is that When Krishna was here, there was no irreligion, and that's why Kali Yuga actually waited. The time had already come, but Kali Yuga waited until Krishna departed from this planet before appearing. And we know the story of Parikshit Maharaj and the bull and all those kind of things. But the point is that Kali Yuga was simply waiting until Krishna wrapped up his pastimes. He could not come. Kali Yuga could not start when Krishna was still on the planet. And then it's talking about demigods used to come to attend the fire sacrifices. You know, both Lord Ramchandra's time, Lord Krishna's time. But Buddha stopped, and after that, when it did take up again, it was just not the same. The Brahmins were not the same quality. I mean, the grass was not the same quality. Ghee was not the same quality. Mantra pronunciation was not the same quality. Therefore, it's not a real fire sacrifice. And therefore, the demigods don't care to come back, so they don't. It is mentioned that sometimes they do when there's Sankirtan going on to attend. And we have examples. For example, when Narottama Thakur in Kheturigram was singing to appear or to celebrate Gaur Purnima, not only Krishna and Radha, but Lord Chaitanya with all his associates and many demigods. They came to that kirtan. So every once in a while they do, but otherwise they don't. Anyway, that's the end of this chapter and almost the end of our time tonight. Any questions or comments?
Prabhuji, what next book are we going to read?
So we still do chapter 22.
Yes, and after that,
Okay.
so we can arrange the books.
Okay, so we're going to do Chaitanya Charitamrita,
Yes.
Madhya Leela, not from the beginning yet. Madhya Leela, chapters 19 through 25, which is Lord Chaitanya's instructions to Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami.
Prabhuji, so I have not started from the beginning. Will I be able to understand?
Oh, absolutely. Totally independent.
Okay.
Totally independent. And then based on how that is received, we'll decide if we shall to start from the beginning. Because beginning is a lot heavier than Madhya Leela. Adi Leela for 7 chapters are very heavy. So we have to be prepared for a very, very slow journey. And there may even be some homework in that. So, you know, there'll be some requirements to read, answer questions. So it's going to be serious. And what I'll do is I'll send, as soon as I finish this chapter, I'll send a note out to everyone that if you wish to attend, please send me a note. Because I don't want to write to, I think there's something 75 people on the list, and we get usually 25. So others, if they don't want, that's fine. I don't want to keep sending the emails. So please respond if you are interested to attend, and we'll take it from there. But that's the book. I'm sure you all know it's very, very heavy.
But at least these 25 are there probably.
Sorry, Prabhu?
At least these 25 will stay.
Well, let's hope so. I'm hoping. Yeah. I'm hoping.
Prabhu, I will try my best.
I understand. I know you have other reasons. That's fine.
Yes, Prabhu.
No,
I will definitely be, and
Sure.
901% will try.
I know you will.
Regarding today's class, I don't know if you have time to ask question. There are so many different leelas. You told us the name, and I don't know many of them, but
So I'll tell you
I
what.
think I have to read.
Let me invite anyone who wishes to go. They can. Please do not feel obliged to stay, because now we're going overtime. And
Yeah.
answer your questions, but please don't anybody feel obliged to stay. If you need to go, you need to go. That's fine. And I'm going to stop the recording.